I breathe the wild blood, the ancient design. The shapers of Asgard built towers of stone, but the dirt holds the claim of the marrow and bone. I feed the brood on the flesh of the dead. Soon the sky will be painted with a fog of red. Hear the pack align, hear the iron pine.
The silver wheel will break, the mother's power wakes.
Yarn with the ironwood and iron bar.
Yarn with the
Witches on a shadow throne.
rise up the claws.
Swallow the sun. The doom of usurpers has just begun. Now, Skull hunts the daylight, Hati hunts the moon. The cage of their order will shatter out soon. I cradle the hunter, I harbor the jaws that answer to nothing but older laws. The winter is waking, the shadow line draws. No walls of the tyrants can hold back our claws.
Yarn with the
Ironwood and iron bar.
yarn with the
Witches on her shadow throne.
rise up the claws.
Swallow the sun. Doom of usurpers has just begun. Now, Takala! Tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder. Near Banbridge town in the county down, one morning in July, from a bohin green I was clearly seen as I went traipsing by. He stood quite still as if struck by a chill or a vision of ancient grace, and he gazed with a stare at my nut-brown hair till the blood rushed to his face. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no lad I have seen has a look so keen as I saw here in County Down. I gave no sign as he watched the line of my shadow as I passed, but I felt the heat of his gaze so sweet, and I knew the spell was cast. He gripped his walking stick with a hand so quick as he tripped o'er his feet. For a lad so bold, he was knocked from his hold by a girl that he chanced to meet. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin I might like him a wee bit more. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, there a lad I've sought has a heart so caught by the star of the county down. Snow on the heather, smoke from the roofs. I stand on the ridgeline, breathing the proof. Sky like a pale bowl, frost in my hair, name on my tongue tip, thin in the air. I call across the pines, he's yellow, high and wild and wide, if you're lost, then follow the sound, let it guide you through the night. I call across the pines, yellow, bare feet on the ground. If your heart can hear my cry, you will find your way back home. Tracks in the powder, turning and gone. Wind takes the branches, braids them in song. Far in the darkness, something replies, echo or answer, tears in my eyes. Where are you now? I won't fall silent. fire smokes black when she walks through the door, a shadow that stretches across the stone floor. She carries the staff, she carries the sight, a piece of the morning in the heart of the night.
Satan, Satan, the staff hits the wood where the kings used to stand. Fate is a needle in a trembling hand. You asked for the rune, you asked for the flame, but you're too weak to carry the weight of your name.
The thread is unweaving, the truth is bereaving, the vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. She sees the high hall, she sees it in ash, the glint of the gold, the sting of the lash. She speaks to the dead, she drinks from the well. There are secrets the living are too frightened to tell. The thread is unweaving, the truth is bereaving, vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. The thread is unweaving, the truth is bereaving, the vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown.
The weird is full. The weird is full.
Good and fair evening, my friends. Welcome back to another beautiful night in the tavern. Once again on a Wednesday because we weren't able to make it on yesterday. So let's go through and see who all is in here. We have... Oh, actually need to turn the music down. Don't want to forget that again. Seem to do that more often than I ought. Alright, where was I? Oh, we've got Bobby, we have Matty, we have Destiny. Wow. Must be my birthday. We have Neko, we have Erin. I saw the bear, I saw the Frostbeard. I saw Tyson who's listening on his way home. We've also got Molly Sue in. Milu is also dropped in. Sortalk is dropped in. Excellent. I think I've noted everyone on the Twitch portal. We have Clifford, we have Dex, and we have Baron Sumerian over on the YouTube portal. And then we have George, we have Douglas, we have Marybeth, we have Georgia. all in over on the Facebook portal. Welcome in, my friends. So very good to see you all. And then we have Mozart in over on the TikTok portal. Welcome, my friends. Mozart says just a blue and Coke. All right, you'll have it. Then Crow, I'm glad to have caught you this stream. I haven't been here much. Boot camp is busy. Finally graduated though. I won't be able to stay long. Just wanted to say hi. Well, Crow, it's very good to see you. I have seen some of your comments on recent story times. I'm so far behind, I don't think that I've gotten to any of them. But I'm glad you made it in, my friend. I'm glad boot camp went well. Congratulations. And it is good to see you. Welcome in. I'll be glad to have you for whatever little time you get to be here. And thank you for dropping by. And also, Kevin Miller, hello, welcome in. Hello, 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 my friends. My presence is in fact a present. Yes, indeed it is. Hey, I've been trying. That's true, I have just been late. Rain, it has been a while. Hello, good to see you. So very glad that you could drop in. It must be my birthday. We get Rain and Destiny in the same night. And it looks like it might rain outside. Just all sorts of gifting for me this evening. Destiny love, thank you for the, what was that? 66 months. Enjoy your mead of the morning star. Appreciate you. My lady's presence is a welcome. Is she in here as well? Rain? No. 1 year, 9 months, 20 hours. You might not be outside of my house, but you might fall from the sky outside of my house. I was a DA drill sergeant at Benning, 94 to 96. Oh, interesting. I wish he's at work. It's also storming here like nuts. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any sort of substantial storm, but we do have rain clouds sitting over us, so we might get a little bit of a drizzle, which just means it's going to be all the more miserable tomorrow, because then it'll be humid, and it's been over 100 degrees. The last 2 weeks we've been in the high 90s, low hundreds. And Crow, you're getting congratulations from across the tavern for your graduation from boot camp. We have lots of military folk who come and join us in the tavern, so we've had rain for over a week and more rain for another week. I would literally throw so many things into volcanoes for 2 weeks worth of rain. Oh, Darth Nexus, my friend, hello, good to see you. Thank you for the hard me. But it'll be a time indeed. Beth, also hello to you. Good to see you. Welcome in. I just checked my age when I'm at 22 hours. 1 year, 7 months, 16 days, and 22 hours. We got slammed here in Ohio in the last 2 days. Our boys out in Ohio right now. I will be mostly lurking. The more I attack my GSDL, the more that gets out of my get shit done list, the more it gets added to it. That does tend to be how it does, right? Once you start doing things, you realize all the things you have to do, and then it just goes and goes and goes from there. I'm always at 22 hours. I'm trying to spot a meteor. I jump into a volcano right now because of how itchy you are. To get rid of the itch. I think there are probably better topical creams for itch than volcano, but you know, whatever works. Right? I'm not one to turn down folk medicine. I've been working a lot of early mornings. Gary, hello, good to see you. Mark, thank you kindly for the stars, my friend. Enjoy your Dragonfire mead. Tips to the tavern keeper are always appreciated. Storm coming in Mesa, Arizona, so it looks like we're all getting storms then. Clifford, hello, my friend. Good to see you. I'm so tired of itching. I want to peel my skin off my body. And the hives are the worst part. Yeah. I am fortunate that I have nerve damage, so I can't actually feel itchy often. But the few parts of my skin that I do feel, on occasion when they get itchy, like I have a spot here on the back of my head, that'll occasionally get itchy when my head is dry. And it's awful. I'm also 3 days until my affiliate anniversary. Wow, has it already been a year, Matty? That's incredible. Storms on and off all day here too. Ah, gives me hope. Darth Nexus, thank you for the Go Popular and for the tavern gifts, my friend. Generosity is deeply appreciated. We just had a bunch of storms here this week too. You guys are giving me hope that I might get some rain out here. Now that you say it out loud, I feel old. Well, you know, we're all getting there. I have an allergy test tomorrow, so I had to stop all my antihistamines, and now my body is being dramatic and hates me. Yeah. One of the reasons why, like, because I'll get headaches from previous head traumas and things like that. It's only if I absolutely need to work will I take something for a headache, because I don't like being anytime I take any kind of medication, I get sick to my stomach. And then Darth Nexus buys a round for the tavern. Cheers, my friend. Thank you kindly. Because anytime that I take medicine, I get sick to my stomach. But then also, if I ever have to take something too much, I don't want to be dependent on it, so then your body gets used to having it. Yeah, the idea of ever being dependent on a doctor or the medical industrial complex for anything terrifies the ever-living hell out of me. I refuse. I'm like, I would rather be in pain until I die, honestly. Harold, hello, my friend. Good to see you. The unstable H, as it were. And Jessica, hello, very good to see you. And on a Wednesday, no less. Dylan, hello and welcome in. Good to see you. Joining us over on the Facebook portal. Welcome in. We're going to get started here in a second. We are very nearly to the end of Eragon. This is how much we have left. So we're going to be delving in, but we do not have much time left. Doctors just tell you, that has been my experience. I don't want to paint with a blanket brush because obviously I've not met all doctors, but every time I have been to a doctor, I have gone in and said, hey, I think that this is what's wrong with me. They'll run a bunch of tests and they'll go, yes, that is what is wrong with you. And then they'll say, here is a thing that will make you feel better with that being wrong with you. And I just simply do not like that. It's like, I have some problems with my mouth going on. I've talked about this before, and I finally have to go and get it taken care of. And so I might be out of commission for a week or two, because they're going to have to cut on my face. Not on my face, inside my face. So I might be out of commission for a couple of days, or maybe a couple of weeks. We'll see how bad it is. But it took me forever to get a referral for the medical necessity of it from a doctor, and he still didn't do it properly. So we'll see what happens. At this point, I would take anything to avoid being itchy like this again. Menuda Calivilla Patherege. Something like that. Hello, welcome in. Oof, good luck, Castle. Thank you, Rain. I appreciate you. It's been a long time coming. I have a stomach issue that it's called GERD, and it makes acid come up and it kind of eats away at your teeth. But I also have several teeth that are broken from being hit in the face, and I've just kind of left them for a long time. And now it's getting to the point where I can't really eat things because I have a couple of bared nerves. So I'm gonna have to go and get things removed, and then get new things put in, and it's not gonna be pleasant. But it's also my fault for waiting for as long as I have. And it's not that I have a fear of the dentist. I just didn't want to use insurance to do it because insurance is a royal pain. I'm going in to get my teeth looked at on Friday. And whether they do it on Friday or set an appointment for the future, I'm hoping that I'll get at least another week before they do anything heavy. But if they decide to do things on Friday, then obviously I'm going to have to do it Friday. But I'm hoping I'll get at least another week. Ants is greater than a bug's life. That's an interesting point. My day has been awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Harold, what is going on? Unexpected story time and painting D&D monster. Pretty decent night. I'll take it. Good, but no acid reflux. Good is a pain in the butt. I have it too. Yeah, it's along with a couple of other issues that have just been going on for a long time. I don't want to sit and complain about little things that go on. But it's a thing, and so I gotta go get the teeth fixed, because if I don't, I won't be able to tell you guys stories. That's how bad it's getting. It's getting to the point where occasionally the pain in the back is so big that my jaw will seize up. So I just gotta go get it taken care of before it becomes a debilitating problem. I'm lucky to be on island time. Wait, where are you? Are you out and about somewhere, Clifford? Where are you at? A few of my cousins have GERD. It's not fun. Yeah, I manage all right. As long as you manage your diet and you don't do stupid things, it's pretty easy to manage. The big issue is that for a long time I didn't manage it very well, and it ate away at my teeth. So a bit of psilocybin for the crazy. Arnica and herbs for the pain is all I use. I'm busted up pretty good over the years myself. Yeah, I mean, we use topical stuff here at home. I feel that I have had the same issues because of the same thing. Mine is financial, so that's why I have it. Yeah, and that was the thing. I just didn't have the cash to pay for the things, and so I've just rather not. And I have a pretty high pain threshold. It's to the point now that the nerve damage is so bad, though, that it's causing it to be involuntary. So, occasionally I'll get a throb of pain in the back of my mouth, and it'll cause my jaw to seize up, and then I can't talk. And my job is talking, so that's not good. My dental surgery is in September. Mine is to use my insurance and to straighten them out. And that's really, yeah. All right, well, we'll talk more about things later. We're gonna run ads for our friends over on Twitch real quick, my friends, and then we're gonna get directly into Eragon. I think everybody who wants to be here should be here, so we should be able to start as soon as ads are done. So you guys will be in ad held for 3 minutes over on Twitch. Appreciate you guys who are willing to sit through it. If you have a subscription or Turbo, you won't have to, but it's just what they make us do. We'll be right back. But yeah, I've had broken teeth from getting hit in the face, and I hit my head on a car when I was hit by a car several years ago, and that cracked a tooth. And I've just sort of just lived with it, just because I didn't want to spend the money to do it. But now it's to the point where my livelihood is dependent on it getting done, so I don't really have a choice. Saltwater mouth swish is one of the best things you can do. Kills off a lot of bacteria. It helps with gum health. It helps with your sinuses. If you just do distilled water, distilled boiled water, warm saltwater mouth rinses, and then nasal cleanses. They do absolutely wonders for your face. Castle, can you take care of? I'm trying. Look. I am trying now, Bobby. Now, I won't say that I've been trying, but at the lady's insistence, I am putting more effort into making sure that I am taking better care of myself. I am indeed working on it. Admittedly, up to this point, I haven't done a great job in taking care of myself. I've not been hit by a car. I've been run over. I've been run over 4 times, and I've been hit by 2 cars at driving speeds. So when I worked for Chrysler, I had a woman who hit me with her car to a point that it separated my hip, it rolled my ankle, and caused my work boot to explode. That's how hard she hit me. And I ended up working a 7-hour day. Because it was midway through the day, I ended up working a 7-hour day in the shop after that. And so the accident happened on delivery day for the dealership I worked at. So all of the streets were lined with big delivery trucks. So none of the dealerships caught the license plate of the woman who hit me. There was the one dealership at the end caught what it looked like, what her car looked like, but none of them caught the license plate with the cameras. So it was a hit and run, and nobody got in trouble for it, and I got 1 day off. I invite my crew from my Discord growing up every time you're live. I'm sure a few takers will enjoy. Well, thank you, Baron Simedi. I appreciate that. Baron Simedi, what was your real name again? Was it Rich? For some reason I remember it being Rich. Might have been somebody else, but your government name is Rich, yes? Unfortunately, doctors aren't miracle workers, but they understand that your body can fight most problems that come. On occasion, they give you something to help you along the way. Yeah, and like I said, I generally don't like to speak with broad sweeps. Every doctor I've ever been to has just tried to put me on medication to, like, cover symptoms, and that's why the general reason why I don't go to the doctor. Smashed my face into the side of a truck off-roading, broke my nose and cut my forehead to the point that you could see my skull. Oof, that's rough. Blunt force trauma, 1 day off. That sounds about right. Yeah. And they didn't even really want to give me the 1 day off. It was only because I went to a physical therapist. It was a who's a chiropractor, and she had to put my hip back in, and she wrote me a note saying that I needed time off. I'm in Galveston, Texas. Oh. Richard Emerson Malcolm Jr. Oh, okay. Well, so they did is Rich. Excellent. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's the only reason why they gave me the day off, was because of that. I have lived quite a life. I didn't realize that until I started telling people about it. I figured everybody lived a life similar to how I've lived. I've always felt my life was pretty unspectacular. Best thing my doctor said to me when I got into remission was, "Great seeing you. Hopefully won't see you again anytime soon." Yes. Ralph Waldo Emerson was my grandmother. Whoa, that's very interesting. So you got a little bit of familial echoes in your name there. If you steep some hot cloves in water and add them to salt and then gargle them, that'll help keep infections down in your mouth and throat. That's true. Bear's got that old folk medicine on hand. I had shingles in my eye and went to the ER. Work still wanted me to come in while I was higher than a kite on painkillers and my face was swollen to the point of unrecognition. Yeah, it is rough. I mean, even when my mother passed away, where I was working at the time still wanted me to come in. So it's hard working for a crappy company, and there just aren't that many good ones out there. But you take what you can get. You gotta live with a little bit of gratitude. So, because I actually got to do a great number of really fun and wonderful things while I was working for Fiat Chrysler International. I worked for FCA. I got to drive a lot of really incredible cars. I got to go to a lot of really incredible places and meet some of the world's greatest automotive engineers. And it was good. But I also had managers that were completely detached from reality. Alright, friends, let's go ahead and get directly in to Eragon. So when we last left off, Eragon was dealing with the political intrigue. Seriously, you two? Yeah. So, okay, and for anyone who is new, if you were on the Facebook portal or the YouTube portal, you're probably anywhere from 15 to 60 seconds behind everyone else. I don't mind still responding even if it's a little bit behind, but you are very likely going to be at least a smidge behind everybody else. If you want to be where most of the conversation happens, it happens over on the Twitch portal, but you're welcome to stay wherever it's most comfortable, and I'll just respond to you when I see the comment. Grandmother's great uncle. Wow, that's fascinating. So now where we are is the next day after Eragon has had to deal with all the political and social intrigue of the Dwarven Kingdom, meeting with the king and the twins and whatnot. Now he has to test his magic, and he has to see Murtaugh and Arya. So let's see what happens. Even my Twitch is behind. Are we having latency issues? Let me see. We don't seem to be having any latency issues on my end, but Twitch might be having issues. It was a few days ago. Yeah, I have plenty of opinions about the platform decks. The fact that they make us run ads is a big one that I don't particularly care for. My TV Twitch is behind my phone Twitch. That's wild. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you what the latency issue, where it's coming from. On our end, everything is stable. Platforms just don't like to play nice. Alright, let's begin. Arya's test. In the morning of their third day in Trondheim, Eragon rolled out of bed, refreshed and energized. He belted Zarok onto his waist and slung his bow and half-full quiver across his back. After a leisurely flight inside a farthen door with Saphira, he met Oric by one of Trondheim's 4 main gates. Eragon asked him about Nasuada. An unusual girl, answered Oric, glancing disapprovingly at Zarok. She's totally devoted to her father and spends all her time helping him. I think she does more for the Ajihad than he knows. There have been times when she's maneuvered his enemies without ever revealing her part in it. Who is her mother? That I don't know. Ajihad was alone when he brought Nasuada, the farthen door, as a newborn child. He's never said where he and Nasuada came from. So she too grew up without knowing her mother. He shook off the thought. I'm restless. It'll be good to use my muscles. Where should I go for this testing of Ajihat's? Oric pointed out into farthen door. The training field is half a mile from Trondheim, though you can see it from here because it's beyond the city mountain. It's a large area where both dwarves and humans practice. I'm coming as well, stated Saphira. Eragon told Oric, and the dwarf tugged on his beard. That might not be a good idea. There are many people at the training field. You'll be sure to attract attention. Saphira growled loudly, I will come. And that settled the matter. The unruly clatter of fighting reached them from the field, the loud clang of steel crushing on steel, and the solid thump of arrows striking padded targets, the rattle and crack of wooden staves, and the shouts of men in mock battle. The noise was confusing, yet each group had a unique rhythm and pattern. The bulk of the training ground was occupied by a crooked block of foot soldiers struggling with shields and poleaxes nearly as tall as themselves. They drilled as a group in formations. Practicing beside them were hundreds of individual warriors outfitted with swords, maces, spears, staves, flails, shields of all shapes and sizes, and even, Eragon saw, someone with a pitchfork. Nearly all the fighters wore armor, usually chainmail with a helmet. Plate armor was not as common. There were as many dwarves as humans, though the two kept mainly to themselves. Behind the spotting warriors, the broad line of archers fired steadily at the grey sacks and cloth dummies. Before Eragon had time to wonder what he was supposed to do, a bearded man, his head and blocky shoulders covered by a male coif, strode over to them. The rest of him was protected by a rough oxhide suit that still had hair on it. A huge sword, almost as long as Eragon, hung across his back. He ran a quick eye over Saphira and Eragon, as if evaluating how dangerous they were, and then said gruffly, "No, the Auric. You've been gone too long. There's nobody left for me to spar with." Auric smiled. "Oi! That's 'cause you bruise everyone from head to toe with your monster sword." "Everyone except you," he corrected. "That's 'cause I'm faster than a giant like you." The man looked at Eragon and said, "I'm Frederick. I've been told to find out what you can do. How strong are you?" "Strong enough," answered Eragon. "I have to be in order to fight with magic." Frederick shook his head. The coif clinked like a bag of coins. "Magic has no place in what we do here. Unless you've served in the army, I doubt any fights you've been in have lasted longer than a few minutes. What we're concerned about is how you'll be able to hold up in a battle that may drag on for hours. And even weeks if it's a siege. Do you know how to use any weapons beside a sword and bow?" Eragon thought about it. Only my fists." "Good answer," laughed Frederick. "Well, let's start you off with a bow and see how you do. Then once some space is cleared up in the field, we'll try." He broke off suddenly and stared past Eragon, scowling angrily. The twins stalked toward them, their bald heads pale against their purple robes. Auric muttered something in his own language as he slipped his war axe out of his belt. "I've told you two to stay away from the training field," said Frederick, stepping forward threateningly. The twins seemed frail before his bulk. They looked at him arrogantly. "We were ordered by our jihad to test Eragon's proficiency with magic before you exhaust him, banging on pieces of metal." Frederick glowered. "Why can't someone else test him?" "No one else is powerful enough," sniffed the twins. Saphira rumbled deeply and glared at them. A line of smoke trickled from her nostrils, but they ignored her. "Come with us," they ordered, and strode to an empty corner of the field. Shrugging, Eragon followed with Saphira behind him. He heard Frederick say to Auric, "We have to stop them from going too far." "I know," answered Auric in a low voice, "but I can't interfere again. The Hrothgar made it clear that he won't be able to protect me next time it happens." Eragon forced back his growing apprehension. The twins might know more techniques and words. Still, he remembered what Brom had told him. Riders were stronger in magic than ordinary men. But would that be enough to resist the combined power of the twins? Don't worry so much. I will help you, said Saphira. There are two of us as well. He touched her gently on the leg, relieved by her words. The twins looked at Eragon and said, And how do you answer us, Eragon? Overlooking the puzzled expressions of his companions, he said flatly, No. Sharp lines appeared in the corners of the twins' mouths. They turned so they faced Eragon obliquely and said, bending at their waists, drew a large pentagram on the ground. They stepped in the middle of it and then said harshly, We begin now. You will attempt to complete the tasks we assign you. That is all. One of the twins reached inside of his robes and produced a polished rock, the size of Eragon's fist, and set it on the ground. Lift it to eye level. That's easy enough, commented Eragon to Saphira. Steno, raise, sir. The rock wobbled, then smoothly rose from the ground. Before it went more than a foot, an unexpected resistance halted it in midair. A smile touched the twins' lips. Eragon stared at him, enraged. They were trying to make him fail. If he became exhausted now, it would be impossible to complete the harder tasks. Obviously, they were confident in their combined strength, that they could easily wear him down. But I'm not alone either, snarled Eragon to himself. Saphira, now! Her mind melded with his, and the rock jerked through the air to stop quivering at eye level. The twins' eyes narrowed cruelly. Very good, they hissed. Frederick looked unnerved by the display of magic. Now, move the stone in a circle. Again, Eragon struggled against their efforts to stop him, and again, to their obvious anger, he prevailed. The exercises quickly increased in complexity and difficulty until Eragon was forced to think carefully about which words to use, and each time the twins fought him bitterly, though the strain never showed on their faces. It was only with Saphira's support that Eragon was able to hold his ground. In a break between two of the tasks, he asked her, Why do they continue this testing? Our abilities were clear enough from what they saw in my mind. She cocked her head thoughtfully. You know what? He said grimly as comprehension came to him. They're using this as an opportunity to figure out what ancient words are now, and perhaps learn new ones for themselves. Speak softly, then, so that they cannot hear you, and use the simplest words possible. From then on, Eragon only used a handful of basic words to complete the tasks, but finding ways to make them perform in the same manner as long as a sentence or phrase stretched his ingenuity to the limit. He was rewarded by the frustration that contorted the twins' faces as he foiled them again and again. No matter what they tried, they could not get him to use any more words in the ancient language. More than an hour passed, but the twins showed no sign of stopping. Eragon was hot and thirsty, but refrained from asking them for a reprieve. He would continue as long as they did. There were many tests, manipulating water, casting fire, scrying, juggling rocks, hardening leather, freezing items, controlling the flight of an arrow, and healing scratches. He wondered how long it would take for the twins to run out of ideas. Finally, the twins raised their hands and said, There is only one thing left for you to do. It is simple enough for any competent user of magic. Should find this easy. One of them removed the silver ring from his finger and smugly handed it to Eragon. Summon the essence of silver. Eragon stared at the ring in confusion. What was he supposed to do? The essence of silver, what was that? And how was it to be summoned? Saphira had no idea, and the twins were not going to help. He'd never learned Silver's names in the ancient language, though he knew it had to be part of Argetlam. In desperation, he combined the only words he thought might work: Ethkri, or invoke, and Arget. Drawing himself up, he gathered together what power he had left and parted his lips to deliver the invocation. Suddenly, a clear and vibrant voice split the air. Stop! Oh, damn the sass on these two. Wait, what is going on? Freaking big chat on the screen. Yeah, well, I try to make it so you guys can see what's going on with each other. Just curious, do you have any stories about Lesser Magiana? Oh, Corin, hello. None that I have up that I don't think, but I'm always happy to add one into the schedule if you'd like me to. Did they stop making pennies? Yes, they did. You all have a great night, the rest of your week. I'm tired from the heat and going to rest. Slancher. Good night, Douglas. It was good to see you. Rest well. May you rise tomorrow ready to face the day, my friend. And yeah, I do believe they stopped making pennies, Roger. And yeah, Bear, we do get a small amount from the ads. Like I said, when we did the readathon and we had a bunch of people who were watching, I think we made like $6. So you have to have hundreds of people watching you to get anything significant from it, but you know, it is what it is. Jody, by the way, Cassie, did a pretty good job with Old Timer. I fell asleep before you got to it, but went back and watched the end feed. How about we do it again tonight for you, Jody? And also, hello. I'm finally home. Glad you made it home safe, Tyson. Mods assemble. I think he was just noting that him and Frost were right there in the same section, both with the barkeep sword. The word rushed over Eragon like a cool water. The voice was strangely familiar, like a half-remembered melody. The back of his neck tingled, and he slowly turned towards its source. A lone figure stood behind them. Arya. The leather strip encircled her brow, restraining her voluminous black hair, which tumbled behind her shoulders in a lustrous cascade. Her slender sword was on her hip, her bow on her back. Plain black leather clothed her shapely frame, poor remnant for one so fair. She was taller than most of the men, and her stance was perfectly balanced and relaxed. An unmarked face reflected none of the horrific abuse that she had endured. Arya's blazing emerald eyes were fixed on the twins, who had turned pale with fright. She approached with silent footsteps and in soft, menacing tones. Shame! Shame to ask him what only a master can do. Shame that you should use such methods. Shame that you told our jihad that you didn't know Eragon's abilities. He is competent. Now leave! Arya frowned dangerously, her slanted eyebrows meeting like lightning bolts in a sharp V, and pointed at the ring in Eragon's hand. Arget! She exclaimed thunderously. The silver shimmered, and a ghostly image of the ring materialized next to it. The two were identical in shape, that the apparition seemed purer and glowed white-hot. The sight of it, the twins spun on their heels and fled, robes flapping wildly. The insubstantial ring vanished from Eragon's hand, leaving the circlet of silver behind. Ulrich and Frederick were on their feet, eyeing Arya warily. Saphira crouched, ready for action. The elf surveyed them all, Her angled eyes paused on Eragon, and then she turned and strode toward the heart of the training field. The warriors ceased their sparring and looked at her with wonder. Within a few moments, the entire field fell silent in awe of her presence. Eragon was inexorably dragged forward by his own fascination. Saphira spoke, but he was oblivious to her comments. A large circle formed around Arya. Looking only at Eragon, she proclaimed, "I claim the right of trial by arms. Draw your sword." "She means to duel me." "But not, I think, to harm you," replied Saphira slowly. She nudged him with her nose. "Go, and acquit yourself well. I will watch." Eragon reluctantly stepped forward. He did not want to do this when he was exhausted from magic use, and when there were so many people watching. Besides, Arya could be in no shape for sparring. It had been only 2 days since he'd received Tunavor's nectar. "I will soften my blows so I don't hurt her," he decided. They faced each other across the circle of warriors. Arya drew her sword with her left hand. The weapon was thinner than Eragon's, but it was just as long and sharp. He slid Zorok out of its polished sheath and held the red blade pointed down by his side. For a long moment they stood motionless, elf and human watching each other. It flashed through Eragon's mind that this was how many of his fights with Brom had started. He moved forward cautiously, and with a blur of motion Arya jumped at him, slashing at his ribs. Eragon reflexively parried the attack, and their swords met in a shower of sparks. Zorok was battered aside as if it were no more than a fly. The elf did not take advantage of the opening, however, but spun to her right, hair whipping through the air, and struck at his other side. He barely stopped the blow and backpedaled frantically, stunned by her ferocity and speed. Belatedly, Eragon remembered Brom's warning that even the weakest elf could easily overpower a human. He had about as much chance of defeating Arya as he did Durza. She attacked again, swinging at his head. He ducked under the razor-sharp edge, but then why was she toying with him? For a few long seconds he was too busy warding her off to think about it. And then he realized. She wants to know how proficient I am. Understanding that, he began the most complicated series of attacks he knew. He flowed from one pose to another, recklessly combining and modifying them in every possible way. But no matter how inventive he was, Arya's sword always stopped his. She matched his actions with effortless grace. Engaged in a fiery dance, their bodies were linked and separated by flashing blades. At times he nearly touched taut skin only a hair's breadth away, but then momentum would whirl them apart, and they would withdraw for a second only to join again. Their sinuous forms wove together like twisting ropes of wind-blown smoke. Eragon could never remember how long they fought. It was timeless and filled with nothing but action and reaction. Zorok grew leaden in his hand, and his arm burned ferociously with each stroke. At last, as he lunged forward, Arya nimbly stepped aside, sweeping the point of her sword up to his jawbone with supernatural speed. Eragon froze as the icy metal touched his skin, his muscles trembling from the exertion. Dimly, he heard Saphira bugle and the warriors cheering raucously around them. Arya lowered her sword and sheathed it. "You have passed," she said quietly amid the noise. Dazed, and he slowly straightened. Frederick was beside him now, thumping him on the back enthusiastically. "That was incredible swordsmanship. I even learned some new moves watching you two. And the elf, stunning." "But I lost," he protested silently. Ulrich praised his performance with a broad smile, but all Eragon noticed was Arya, standing alone and silent. She moistened slightly with a finger, no more than a twitch, toward a knoll, about a mile from the practice field, then turned and walked away. The crowd melted before her, and a hush fell over the men and dwarves as she passed. Eragon turned to Oric. "I'll have to go. I'll return to the Dragonhold soon." And with a swift jab, Eragon sheathed Zarok and pulled himself on to Saphira. She took off over the training field, which turned into a sea of faces as everyone looked at her. As they soared towards the knoll, Eragon saw Arya running below them with clean, easy strides. Saphira commented, "You find her pleasing, do you not?" "Yes," he admitted, blushing. "Her face does have more character than that of most humans." She sniffed. "But it's long, like a horse's, and overall, she's rather shapeless." Eragon looked at Saphira with amazement. "You're jealous, aren't you?" "Impossible. I never get jealous," she said, offended. "You are now, admit it," he laughed. She snapped her jaws loudly together. "I am not." He smiled and shook his head, but let her denial stand. She landed heavily on the knoll, jostling him roughly, and he jumped down without remarking on it. Arya was close behind them. Her fleet stride carried her faster than any runner Eragon had seen, and when she reached the top of the knoll, her breathing was smooth and regular. Suddenly, tongue-tied, Eragon dropped his gaze. She strode past him and said to Saphira, "Skalvelaka, eka kelobra ono un mulabra, ono un onar shurtargal ne hayana, arthradoso wes frikai." Eragon did not recognize most of the words, but Saphira obviously understood the message. She shuffled her rings and surveyed Arya curiously. Then she nodded, humming deeply. Arya smiled. "I'm glad that you've recovered." "I'm glad that you've recovered," said Eragon. "We didn't know if you would live or not." "That is why I came here today," said Arya, facing him. Her rich voice was accented and exotic. She spoke clearly with a hint of trill, as if she were about to sing. "I owe you a debt that must be repaid. You saved my life. That can never be forgotten." It was nothing," said Eragon, fumbling with the words and knowing that they were not true, even as he spoke them. Embarrassed, he changed the subject. "How did you come to be in Gilead?" Pain shadowed Arya's face. She looked away into the distance. "Let us walk." They descended from the knoll and meandered toward Father Door. Eragon respected Arya's silence as they walked. Saphira padded quietly beside them. Finally, Arya lifted her head and said with the grace of her kind, "Ajahad told me you were present when Saphira's egg appeared." "Yeah." For the first time, Eragon thought about the energy it must have taken to transport the egg over dozens of leagues that separated Du Veldenvarden from the spine. To even attempt such a feat was courting disaster, if not death. Her next words were heavy. "Then know this. At the moment you first beheld it, I was captured by Durza." Her voice was filled with bitterness and grief. "It was he who led the Urgles that ambushed and slew my companions, Fowlin and Glenwing. Somehow he knew where to wait for us. We had no warning. I was drugged and transported to Gilead. There Durza was charged by Gilbertorix to learn where I had sent the egg, and all I knew of Elismera." She stared ahead icily, jaw clenched. He tried for months without success. His methods were harsh. When torture failed, he ordered his soldiers to use me as they would. Fortunately, I still had the strength to nudge their minds and make them incapable. At last, Galbatorix ordered that I was to be brought to Urubien. Dread filled me. When I learned of this, I was weary in both mind and body, and had no strength left to resist him. If it were not for you, I would have stood before Galbatorix in a week's time. Eragon shuddered inwardly. It was amazing that she had survived. The memory of her injuries was still vivid in his mind. Softly he asked, "Why do you tell me all of this?" "So that you know what I was saved from. Do not presume I could ignore your deed." Humbled, he bowed his head. "What will you do now? Return to Elismera?" "No, not yet. There is much that must be done here. I cannot abandon the Vard. Our jihad needs my help. I've seen you tested in both arms and magic today. Brom taught you well. You are ready to proceed into your training." "You mean for me to go to Elismera?" "Yes." Eragon felt a flash of irritation. Did he and Saphira have no say in the matter? "When?" "That is not to be decided. That is not yet to be decided. But not for some weeks." "At least they gave us that much time," thought Eragon. Saphira mentioned something to him, and he in turn asked Arya, "What did the twins want me to do?" Arya's sculpted lip curled with disgust. "Something that not even they can accomplish. It is possible to speak the name of an object in an ancient language and summon its true form. It takes years of work and great discipline, but the reward is complete control over the object. That is why one's true name is always kept hidden. For if it were known by any with evil in their heart, they could dominate you utterly." "It's strange," said Eragon after a moment. "But before I was captured at Gilead, I had a vision of you in my dreams. It was like scrying, and I was able to scry you later. But it was always during my sleep." Arya pursed her lips pensively. "There were times when I felt as if another presence were watching me. But I was often confused and feverish. I never heard of anyone, either in lore or legend, being able to scry in their sleep." "I don't understand it myself," said Eragon, looking at his hands. He twirled Brom's ring around his finger. "What does the tattoo on your shoulder mean? I didn't mean to see it, but when I was healing your wounds, it couldn't be helped. It's just like the symbol on this ring." "You have a ring with the Yahweh on it?" she asked sharply. Yeah, it was Brom's, see?" He held out the ring, and Arya examined the sapphire, then said, "This is a token only given to the most valued elf friends. So valued, in fact, that it's not been used in centuries. Or so I thought. I never knew that the Queen Islanzandi thought so highly of Brom." "I shouldn't wear it then," said Eragon, afraid that he had been presumptuous. "No, keep it. It will give you protection if you meet my people by chance. It may help you gain favour with the Queen. Tell no one of my tattoo. It should not be revealed." "Very well." He enjoyed talking with Arya and wished that their conversation could have lasted longer. When they parted, he wandered through Farthen Door, conversing with Saphira. Despite his prodding, she refused to tell him what Arya had said to her. Eventually, his thoughts turned to Myrtle, and then to Naswada's advice. "I'll get something to eat, and then go to see him," he decided. "Will you wait for me so I can return to the Dragonhold with you?" I will wait. Go, said Saphira. With a grateful smile, Eragon dashed to Trondheim, ate in an obscure corner of a kitchen, then followed Naswater's instructions until they reached a small grey door, guarded by a man and a dwarf. When he requested entrance, the dwarf banged on the door 3 times and then unbolted it. Just holler if when you want to leave, he said the man with a friendly smile. The cell was warm and well lit, with a wash basin in one corner and a writing desk, good with quills and ink, in another. The ceiling was extensively carved with lacquered figures, and the floor was covered with a plush rug. Murtaugh lay on a stout bed reading a scroll. He looked up in surprise and exclaimed cheerily, Murtaugh! Eragon! I'd hoped you'd come. I thought... You thought I was stuck in some rat hole, chewing on hardtack, said Murtaugh, rolling upright with a grin. Actually, I expected the same thing. Ajihad lets me have all this as long as I don't cause trouble. And they bring me huge meals as well as anything I want from the library. If I'm not careful, I'll turn into a fat scholar. Eragon laughed, and with a wondering smile seated himself next to Murtaugh. But aren't you angry? You're still a prisoner. Oh, I was at first, said Murtaugh with a shrug. But the more I thought of it, the more I came to realise that this is really the best place for me. Even if Ajihad gave me my freedom, I would stay in my room most of my time anyway. But why? Well, you know well enough. No one would be at ease around me. Knowing my true identity, and there would be always people who wouldn't limit themselves to harsh looks or words. But enough of that. I'm eager to know what's new. Come on, tell me. Eragon recounted the events of the past 2 days, including his encounter with the twins in the library, and when he finished, Murtaugh leaned back reflectively. I suspect, he said, that Arya is more important than either of us thought. Consider what you've learned. She's a master of the sword, powerful in magic, and most significantly, was chosen to guard Saphira's egg. She cannot be ordinary, even among the elves. Eragon agreed. Murtaugh stared at the ceiling. You know, I find this imprisonment oddly peaceful. For once in my life, I don't have to be afraid. I know I ought to be. There's something about this place puts me at ease. Good night's sleep helps too. I know what you mean, said Eragon wryly. He moved to a softer place on the bed. Nasawada said that she visited you. Did she say anything interesting? Murtaugh's gaze shifted into the distance, and he shook his head. Nah, she only wanted to meet me. Doesn't she look like a princess? And the way she carries herself. When she first entered through the doorway, I thought she was one of the great ladies at Galbatorix's court. I've seen earls and counts who had wives that compared to her, and were more fitted for life as a hog than nobility. Eragon listened to his praise with the growing apprehension. It may mean nothing, he reminded himself. You're leaping to conclusions. Yet the foreboding would not leave him. Trying to shake off the feeling, he asked, How long are you going to remain in prison, Murtaugh? You can't hide forever. Murtaugh shrugged carelessly, but there was a weight behind his words. For now, I'm content to stay and rest. There's no reason for me to seek shelter elsewhere, nor submit myself to the twins' examination. No doubt I'll tire of this eventually, but for now, I am content. Milo, shut up! What? And so ends the chapter of Arya's test. Nora, hello, welcome in. Kitten battle cries. Yeah, he's being a twat. Hang on, let me go see what he needs. Did the music stop? What happened? The music did stop. But why is the question? No, she didn't say Milo shut. Well, actually, did you tell him to shut up too? I told him to shut up. I don't know that she did. We spend a lot of our day telling Milo to shut up, so it's not a problem if, you know. And so Milo re-enters, yes. Give me a second, friends. We got 15 minutes till our next ad break, so I think we'll waffle for a bit, and then we'll do one more chapter tonight. I think because we are rushing towards the end of this book. I actually need to put it because yeah, we have only about 30 pages left before the end. If we do one more chapter tonight, we've only really got one more week left of this book, and then we're done. So I think that we'll do the one more chapter tonight, and then I'll put out the poll over in the guild this evening or tomorrow, and we'll have to choose another book. Yeah, we've got less than 40 pages, like 33 pages left until the end. So we're coming up on it quick. So give me a second, and I will be right back, and we'll waffle for a bit. Also, you guys will note that the chair has returned to its former hairy glory. I'm 10 years older than my hubby, but I still have another 40 years before I'm considered old by my own definition. That's a wonderful way to put it. You might want to get your hands on Eldest Castle. It's a fair bet that that's what the vote will be. I'm going to presume so. That's not a chair, that's a mimic. If this thing were a mimic, it would have eaten me already, Matty. Yeah, I presume that Eldest will be the next book, that's for sure. And the next chapter is called The Shadows Lengthen. I presume everybody wants to do another chapter, right? We want to do a full story time this evening, yes? I despise working with vinyl lettering. Tristan, thank you kindly, my friend. I appreciate you. Oh, of course I do. Of course. I have a whole another hour to give you guys this fine evening. Okay, let's go ahead and... Hey, T-Dubs! Welcome in, my friend. So good to see you. Let's go ahead and run our ads over on the Twitch portal so that we can just hop right back in and try and get another chapter in before it's time to hop off. And then we'll do a couple of songs. Ugh. Waffles indeed. It is kind of exciting to be almost to the end of this book, because again, this is the first time I've read Eragon in, I don't know, probably more than 10 years, and I don't remember a lot of the ending of this book. Like, that's a question. Of course I'd like more story. Fair enough, Bobby, fair enough. But yeah, I think I have a whole another hour I can give you all before I have to go run and do things. I do have to get some story time shot tonight, and I have some chapters to record for the audiobooks that we're doing over on the Patreon portal. We're putting a lot of work this month into getting stuff out over on Patreon and for members on the other platforms as well. None of it is... I don't know what I was going to say there. But yeah, there'll be stuff out over those ways. I have found my new home. Is it here, Tristan? Are you talking about in the tavern? I mean, I'm likely pal-worlding on my Discord more tonight. I love that you've turned playing pal-world into a verb, Matty. Sorry for being late, I didn't get notified. That's quite alright, T-Dubs. The platforms are really bad about letting people know when we open the portals. It is what it is. My definition, older than my great-grandfather was when he passed away. He was 95. So anything younger than that is young. Fair enough. Jody, fair enough. I'll raise a glass to that. Ringo bra. The tavern is so perfect. Well, I don't know about perfect, but it's we like it. It is enjoyable place for us to be. Oh, I'm sorry, Tristan, I didn't see that. Here's 20 shillings for the wonderful banter and storytelling. Always a pleasure. Here's to the tavern keeper. Sláinte, my friend. Appreciate you for that. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. Tavern's magic is hard at work tonight. Milo, what are you doing? How? Hang on. That was honey. Is he up on the shelf? No, he's right there. How did you knock things down from over there? Are you... if you gain psychic powers, that would be the worst. You're too dumb to be a telepath. You're not allowed to have telepathic powers, Milo. You're not smart enough. That was weird. We got ghosts working in the tavern tonight. What is your favorite fantasy tale? Well, I think that the obvious answer for books fantasy tale is obviously Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is one of the best. Obviously, I really like The Dragon and the George. That's the one we're reading on Thursday. I love Eragon. These were two of the first books I picked up by myself and chose to read. I say this all the time, but a fantasy book that I love, that I think everyone should read, is probably one of my favorite books ever written, if not my favorite book ever written, is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. And then more modern stuff, I actually really like the Overlord light novels. I think those are very good. The wife got me those for Christmas last year. Milo Tax. Okay, let me go see if I can kidnap him out of the window. Let me see if I can sneak up on him real quick. Where do you think he goes? He saw me coming and he tried to get away. Hey, calm down. Calm down, dude. Calm down. Calm down. Oh, meow, meow, meow. Such a whiner. Such a whiner. Ugh. There you go. There's your Milo Tax. He's being a baby right now for some reason. Hey, relax. Relax. I got a new Razer Basilisk V3 gaming mouse. My wireless Logitech G203 died after 8 years of faithful... Wow, that's a long time to get out of a mouse. I'm replacing my stuff every... Gosh. I replace my stuff every 2 years because of how much the lady and I use it for work. Lord of the Rings is, in fact, the greatest of all time, Tristan. I'll agree with you on that. He's so grumpy that I picked him up out of the window. Hey, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. What are you doing? Stop. Yeah. Stretch out. Stretch out. Stretch out. There you go. Stretch out. There you are. There he is. There's the little guy. Just relax. Get some scratches in. There he is. Doesn't he just look absolutely thrilled to be here? The funny thing is that if you get a hold of him like this and you just scratch the back of his neck, he'll almost fall asleep and forget that he didn't want to be there. Got him in a half Nelson. I guess this is a full Nelson, huh? It's with the hands. Hey, are you ready to calm down? Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. You're being a brat. No, you're being a brat. Stop it. You're being a brat. Calm down. Don't make me Simba you. I will Simba you. Mandawe. He's so grouchy. Don't you put your dirty poo-poo paws in my face. Stop it. Ah. Alright, fine. Get out of here. He's relaxing. Okay, lag time. My Twitch on my computer is slower than my YouTube. That's wild. That's wild. Thank you for the stories and the cats. I'm heading off to bed in a minute. Sleep is needed. Well, good luck on your interview tomorrow, Jessica. And I hope that you get good rest. And that you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day. Tristan, thank you for the 50 stars, my friend. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. My kitten likes to curl up on my sweatshirt and crawl on my... The funny thing is that Milo likes to lay on both me and the lady, but just like Boo, he likes to choose to do it. Like, if you grab them and put them on you, he'll be like, no. No. And then he'll get up and he'll walk in a circle, come back to the exact same spot and lay down there. Dramatic cat. I'm going to dip out. We've got hail and stuff at the moment, so I'm going to dip out before it kicks me out. Alright, Destiny, love, it was good to see you. Thank you for being here. Rest well. Be safe out there in all the weather. Send some of it our way if you can manage. Some voodoo, mumbo-jumbo, whatever. The 10-year-old adopted shelter kitty Obsidian was definitely owned by an old person. She likes to get in my face, and she was trying to steal bacon out of my sandwich. Boo does that to the lady. Boo will, like, if she's eating something and he'll just reach up and be like, give me some, Mom. Give me some of whatever is in your mouth. The other day, I put my hand under her chin. And Boo kept reaching up to my hand. He was like, what are you feeding her? What are you give me whatever you're feeding her. Ludicrous little animals. Alright, friends. Let's get this other chapter knocked out. I've got roughly an hour to give you all. So let's get it done. Cat taxes, exactly. Exactly. What's funny is that because, like, she snuggles them all the time and they sit on her and lay on her and all of that. And occasionally if she's eating something, she'll pass on a piece to them. Occasionally they'll like jump up on the desk or jump up on the bed because they smell food. And then they'll see it's me eating and they freak out and turn around and run away. Okay. Yeah, my YouTube is about 6 seconds earlier than Twitch on my... That's wild. YouTube is usually so far behind. Yeah, not the mama. That's not mama. That's not mama. Run away. She ate my whole tuna packet and just gave up. I do not share. It's funny because even Kodo will come up to me. He'll look at me while I'm eating and I'll just side-eye him. And be like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not getting any of that. And then he'll run away. Okay, guys, here we go. Next chapter. The shadows lengthen. Saphira woke Eragon with a sharp rap from her snout, bruising him with her hard jaw. Ouch, he exclaimed, sitting upright. The cave was dark, except for a faint glow emanating from the shuttered lantern. Outside in the dragon hold, Isidar Mithrim glittered with 1,000 different colors, illuminated by its girdle of lanterns. An agitated dwarf stood in the entrance of the cave, wringing his hands. You must come, Harketlam. Great trouble. Ajihad summons you, there is no time. The dwarf only What's wrong? Asked Eragon. The dwarf only shook his head, wagging his beard. Go, you must! Kartana, Baraka! Go, now! Eragon belted on Zarok, grabbed his bow and arrows, and then strapped in the saddle onto Saphira. So much for a good night's sleep, she groused. Crouching low on the floor, he could clamber onto her back. He yawned loudly as Saphira launched herself from the cave. Auric was waiting for them with a grim expression when they landed at Trondheim's gates. Come! The others are waiting. He led them through Trondheim to Ajihad's study. On the way, Eragon plied him with questions, but Auric would only say, I don't know enough myself. Wait until you hear, Ajihad. The large study door was opened by a pair of burly guards. Ajihad stood behind his desk, bleakly inspecting a map. Arya and a man with wiry arms were there as well. Ajihad looked up. Good, you are here, Eragon. Meet Jormungandr, my second in command. They acknowledged each other and then turned their attention to Ajihad. I roused the 5 of you because we are all in grave danger. But half an hour ago, a dwarf ran in out of an abandoned tunnel under Trondheim. He was bleeding and nearly incoherent, but he had enough sense left to tell the dwarves what was pursuing him. An army of Urgles, maybe a day's march from here. Shocked silence filled the study. Then Jormungandr swore explosively and began asking questions at the same time Orik did. Arya remained silent. Ajihad raised his hand. Quiet! There is more. The Urgles aren't approaching overland, but under it. They're in tunnels. We're going to be attacked from below. Eragon raised his voice in the din that followed. Why didn't the dwarves know about this sooner? How did the Urgles find the tunnels? We're lucky to know about it this early, bellowed Orik, and everyone stopped talking to hear him. There are hundreds of tunnels throughout the Bjorn Mountains, uninhabited since the days they were mined. The only dwarves that go in them are eccentrics who don't want contact anymore. We could have just as easily received no warning at all. Ajihad pointed at the map and Eragon moved closer. The map depicted the southern half of Allegasia, but unlike Eragon's, it showed the entire Beor mountain range in detail. Ajihad's finger was on a section of the Beor mountains that touched Surda's eastern border. This, he said, is where the dwarfs claimed to have come from. Orthiad, exclaimed Orik. At Jormungandr's puzzled inquiry, he explained. As an ancient dwelling of ours, it was deserted when Trondheim was completed. During its time, it was the greatest of our cities, but no one's lived there for centuries. It's old enough that some of the tunnels have collapsed, said Ajihad. That is how we surmised. It was discovered from the surface. I suspect that Orthiad is now being called Ithrozada. That's where the Urgles column that was chasing Eragon and Saphira was supposed to go. And I'm sure it's where the Urgles have been migrating all year. From Ithrozada, they can travel anywhere they want in the Beor Mountains. They have the power to destroy both the Varden and the dwarves. Jormungandr bent over the map, eyeing it carefully. Do you know how many Urgles there are? Agabatorix' troops with them. We can't plan a defense without knowing how large their army is. Ajihad replied unhappily. We are unsure of both of those things. Yet our survival rests on that last question. If Agabatorix has augmented the Urgles' ranks with his own men, we don't stand a chance. But if he hasn't, then because he still doesn't want an alliance with the Urgles to be revealed, or for some other reason, it's possible that we can win. Neither Orin nor the elves can help us at this late hour. Even so, I sent runners to both of them with news of our plight. At the very least, they won't be caught by surprise if we fall. He drew a hand across his cold black brow. I've already talked to Hrothgar, and they decided on the course of action. Our only hope is to contain the Urgles in the 3 of the larger tunnels, channel them into Farlandor, so they don't swarm inside of Trondheim like locusts. I need you, Eragon and Arya, to help the dwarves collapse the extraneous tunnels. The job is too big for normal means. 2 groups of dwarves are already working on it, one outside Trondheim, and the other beneath it. Eragon, you're to work with the group outside. Arya, you'll be with the one on the ground. Orik will guide you to them. Why not collapse all the tunnels instead of leaving the large ones untouched? Asked Eragon. Because, said Oric, that will force the Urgles to clear away the rubble. They might decide to go in a direction we don't want them to. Besides, if we cut ourselves off, they could attack other dwarf cities, which we wouldn't be able to assist on time. There's also another reason. Hrothgar warned me that Trondheim sits on such a dense network of tunnels that if too many are weakened, sections of the city would sink into the ground under their own weight. We cannot risk that. Jormungandr listened intently and then asked, So, there won't be any fighting inside Trondheim. He said Urgles would be channeled outside the city in the farthing door. Ajihad responded quickly. That's right. We can't defend Trondheim's entire perimeter. It's too big for our forces. So we're going to seal all the passageways and gates leading into it. That will force the Urgles into the flats surrounding Trondheim, where there's plenty of maneuvering rooms for our armies. Since the Urgles have access to the tunnels, we cannot risk an extended battle. As long as they are here, we will be in constant danger of them quarrying up through Trondheim's floor. If that happens, we'll be trapped, attacked from both the outside and the inside. We have to prevent the Urgles from taking Trondheim. If they secure it, it's doubtful we will have the strength to roust them. And what of our families? Asked Jormungandr. I won't see my wife and son murdered by Urgles. The lines deepened in Ajihad's face. All the women and children are being evacuated into the surrounding valleys. If we are defeated, they have guides who will take them to Serra. That's all I can do under the circumstances. Jormungandr struggled to hide his relief. Sir, is Nasuartha going as well? She is not pleased, but yes. All eyes were on Ajihad as he squared his shoulders and announced, The Urgles will arrive in a matter of hours. We know their numbers are great, but we must hold Farthendor. Failure will mean the dwarves' downfall, death to the Varden, and the eventual defeat of Forsera and the elves. This is one battle we cannot lose. Now go and complete your tasks. Jormungandr, ready the men to fight. I was actually thinking about the tavern earlier today, thinking I missed it yesterday. I had magic box issues yesterday, so we didn't make it on. That's why we're doing today. They left the study and scattered Jormungandr to the barracks. Oric and Arya to the stairs leading underground, and Eragon and Saphira down to one of Trondheim's 4 main halls. Despite the early hour, the city mountain swarmed like an anthill. People were running, shouting messages, and carrying bundles of belongings. Eragon had fought and killed before, but the battle that awaited them sent stabs of fear into his chest. He had never had a chance to anticipate a fight. Now that he did, it filled him with dread. He was confident when facing only a few opponents. He knew he could easily defeat 3 or 4 Urgles with Zarok and magic. But in a large conflict, anything could happen. They exited Trondheim and looked for the dwarves they were supposed to help. Without the sun or moon inside Farthendor was dark as lamp-black, punctuated by glittering lanterns bobbing jerkily in the crater. Perhaps they're on the far side of Trondheim. Perhaps they are on the far side of Trondheim, suggested Saphira. Eragon agreed and swung onto her back. They glided around Trondheim until a clump of lanterns came into sight. Saphira angled towards them, and then, with no more Then a whisper landed beside the group of startled dwarves who were busy digging with pickaxes. Eragon quickly explained why he was there, and a sharp-nosed dwarf told him, "There's a tunnel about 4 yards directly underneath us. Any help you could give would be appreciated." "If you clear the area over the tunnel, I'll see what I can do." The sharp-nosed dwarf looked doubtful, but ordered the diggers off the side. Breathing slowly, Eragon prepared to use magic. It might be possible to actually move all the dirt of the tunnel, but he needed to conserve his strength for later. Instead, he would try to collapse the tunnel by applying force to the weakened sections of its ceilings. "Trista, Deloy," he whispered and sent tentacles of power into the soil. Almost immediately, they encountered rock. He ignored it and reached further down until the hollow emptiness of the tunnel. Then he began searching for flaws in the rock. Every time he found one, he pushed on it, elongating it and widening it. Strenuous work, but no more than it would have been to split the stone by hand. He made no visible progress, a fact that was not lost on the impatient dwarves. Eragon persevered, and before long he was rewarded by a resounding crack that could be heard on the surface. There was a persistent screech, and then the ground slid inward like water draining from a tap, leaving a gaping hole 7 yards across. As delighted dwarves walled off the tunnel with rubble, the sharp-nosed dwarf led Eragon to the next tunnel. This one was much more difficult to collapse, but he managed to duplicate the feat. Over the next few hours, he collapsed over half a dozen tunnels throughout Farthen Door with Saphira's help. Light crept into the small patch of sky above them as he worked. It was not enough to see by, but it bolstered Eragon's confidence. He turned away from the crumpled ruins of the last tunnel and surveyed the land with interest. A mass exodus of women and children, along with the Varden's elders, streamed out of Trondheim. Everyone carried loaves of provisions, clothes, and belongings. A small group of warriors, predominantly boys and old men, accompanied them. Most of the activity, however, was at the base of Trondheim, where the Varden and dwarves were assembling their army, which was divided into 3 battalions. Each section bore the Varden standard, a white dragon holding a rose above a sword, pointing downward on a purple field. The men were silent, iron-fisted. Their hair flowed loosely from under their helmets. Many warriors had only a sword and a shield, but there were several ranks of spear and pikemen. In the rear of the battalions, the archers tested their bowstrings, and the dwarves were garbed in heavy battle gear. Burnished steel hauberks hung from their knees, and thick round shields stamped with the crest of their clan rested on their left arms. Short swords were sheathed at their waists, while in their right hand they carried mattocks and war axes. Their legs were covered with extra fine mail, and they wore iron caps with brass-studded boots. A small figure detached itself from the far battalion and hurried towards Eragon and Saphira. It was Auric, clad like the other dwarves. "Ajihad wants you to join the other army," he said. "There are no more tunnels to cave in. Food is waiting for both of you." Eragon and Saphira accompanied Auric to a tent, where they found bread and water, and a pile of dried meat for Saphira. They ate it without complaint. It was better than going hungry. When they finished, Auric told them to wait and disappeared into the battalion's ranks. He returned, leading a line of dwarves burdened with tall piles of plate armor. Auric lifted a section of it and handed it to Eragon. "What is this?" asked Eragon, fingering the polished metal. The armor was intricately wrought and engraving with gold filigree. It was an inch thick in places and very heavy. No man could fight under that much weight, and there were far too many pieces of it for one person. "A gift from Hrothgar," said Auric, looking pleased with himself. "It's lain so long among our other treasures that it was almost forgotten. It was forged in another age, before the fall of the riders. But what is it for? Asked Eragon. Why, it's dragon armor, of course. You don't think that dragons went into battle unprotected? Complete sets are rare because they took so long to make, and because dragons were always growing. Still, Saphira isn't too big yet, so they should fit her reasonably well. Dragon armor. As Saphira knows the pieces, Eragon asked. What do you think? Let's try it on, she said, with a fierce gleam in her eye. After a good deal of struggling, Eragon and Oryx stepped back to admire the results. Saphira's entire neck, except for the spikes along its ridge, were covered with triangular scales of overlapping armor. Her belly and chest were protected by the heaviest plates, while the lightest ones were on her tail. Her legs and back were completely encased, and her wings were left bare. A single molded plate lay on top of her head, leaving her lower jaw free to bite and snap. Ashley, hello, welcome in, good to see you, so very glad you could drop by. Saphira arched her neck experimentally, and the armor flexed smoothly with her. This will slow me down, but it'll help stop the arrows. How do I look? Very intimidating, replied Eragon truthfully. That pleased her. Oryx picked up the remaining items from the ground. I brought you armor as well, though it took much searching to find your size. We rarely forge arms for men or elves. I don't know who this was made for, but it has never been used, and should serve you well. Over Eragon's head went a stiff shirt of leather-backed mail, and that fell to his knees like a skirt. Rested heavily on his shoulders and clinked when he moved. He belted Zarok over it, which helped to keep the mail from swinging. On his head went a leather cap and then a mail coif. And finally a gold and silver helm. Bracers were strapped to his forearms and greaves to his lower legs. For his hands, there were black-mailed gloves. Last, Oryx handed him a broad shield emblazoned with an oak tree. Knowing that what he and Saphira had been given was worth several fortunes, Eragon bowed and said, Thank you for these gifts. Hrothgar's presents are greatly appreciated. Don't give thanks now, said Oryx with a chuckle. Wait until the armor saves your life. The warriors around them began marching away. The 3 battalions were repositioning themselves in different parts of Farthing Door. Unsure of what they should do, Eragon looked at Oryx, who shrugged and said, I suppose we should accompany them. They trailed behind a battalion that was headed towards the Crater War. Eragon asked about the Urgles, but Oryx only knew the scouts had been posted underground in the tunnels, and that nothing had been seen or heard yet. I might purchase the whole Eragon series and reread it. I love this series. It is well worth it. I haven't read the last book in the series, or the last 2 books, I should say. Barry, hello and welcome in. So very glad that you could join us, my friend. Hubby is British, so 4th of July. Look, you gotta lose gracefully, right? All right, where was I? The battalion halted at one of the collapsed tunnels. The dwarves had piled rubble so that anyone inside the tunnel could easily climb out. This must be one of the places they're going to force the Argos to the surface, Saphira pointed out. Hundreds of lanterns were affixed atop poles and stuck into the ground. They provided a great pool of light that glowed like an evening sun. Fires blazed along the rim of the tunnel's roof, huge cauldrons of pitch heating over them. Eragon looked away, fighting back revulsion. It was a terrible way to kill anyone, even an Urgle. Rows of sharpened saplings were being pounded into the ground to provide a thorny barrier between the battalion and the tunnels. Eragon saw an opportunity to help and joined the group of men digging trenches between the saplings. Saphira assisted as well, scooping out dirt with her giant claws. While they labored, Auric left to supervise the construction of a barricade to shield the archers. Eragon drank gratefully from the wineskin whenever it was passed around. After the trenches were finished and filled with pointed stakes, Saphira and Eragon rested. Auric returned to find them seated together. He wiped his brow. All the men and dwarves are on the battlefield. Trondheim has been sealed off. Hrothgar has taken charge of the battalion to our left. Ajihad leads the one ahead of us. Who commands this one? Jormungandr. Auric sat with a grunt and placed a war axe on the ground. Saphira nudged Eragon. Look. His hand tightened on Zarok as he saw Murtor, helmed and carrying a dwarvish shield and a hand-and-a-half sword, approaching with Tornak. Auric cursed and leapt to his feet, but Murtor said quickly, It's all right. Ajihad released me. Why would he do that? Demanded Auric. Murtor smiled wryly. He said this is an opportunity to prove my good intentions. Apparently he doesn't think I'll be able to do much damage, even if I did turn on the garden. Eragon nodded in welcome, relaxing his grip. Murtor was an excellent and merciless fighter, exactly whom Eragon wanted by his side during battle. How do we know you're not lying? Asked Auric. Because I say so, announced a firm voice. Ajihad strode into their midst, armed for battle with a breastplate and an ivory-handled sword. He put a strong hand on Eragon's shoulder and drew him away, where the others could not hear, and cast an eye over Eragon's armor. Good, Auric outfitted you. Yes. Has anything been seen in the tunnels? Nothing. Ajihad leaned on his sword. One of the twins is staying in Trondheim. He's going to watch the battle from the Dragonholt and relay information through his brother to me. I know you can speak with your mind. I need you to tell the twins anything unusual that you see while fighting. Also, I'll relay orders to you through them. Do you understand? The thought of being linked to the twins filled Eragon with loathing, but he knew it was necessary. I do. Ajihad paused. You're not a foot soldier or a horseman, nor any other type of warrior I'm used to commanding. Battle may prove different. But I think you and Saphira will be safer on the ground. In the air, you'll be a choice target for Ergal archers. Would you fight from Saphira's back? Eragon had never been in combat on horseback, much less on Saphira. I'm not sure what we'll do. When I'm on Saphira, I'm up too high to fight all but a cull. There will be plenty of cull, I'm afraid, said Ajihad. He straightened and pulled his sword out of the ground. The only advice I give you is to avoid unnecessary risk. The warden cannot afford to lose you. And with that, he turned and left. Eragon returned to Auric and Murtor and hunkered down next to Saphira, leaning his shield against his knees. The four of them waited in silence like the hundreds of warriors around them. Light from farther doors opening waned as the sun crept below the crater rim. Eragon turned to scan the encampment and froze. Heart jolting. About 30 feet away sat Arya with her bow in her lap. Though he knew it was unreasonable, he had hoped she might accompany the other women out to farther door. Concerned, he hastened to her. You will fight. I do what I must, Arya said calmly. But it's too dangerous. Her face darkened. Do not pamper me, human. Elves train both their men and women to fight. I'm not one of your helpless females to run away whenever there is danger. I was given the task of protecting Saphira's egg, which I failed. My Briola is dishonored, and would be further shamed if I did not guard you and Saphira on this battlefield. You forget that I am stronger with magic than any hare, including you. If the shade comes, who can defeat him but me? And who else has the right? Eragon stared at her helplessly, knowing she was right in hating the fact. Then stay safe. Out of desperation, he added in the ancient language. Wail pomenoria, Ilian. For my happiness. Arya turned her gaze away uneasily, the fringe of her hair obscuring her face. She ran a hand along her polished bow and then murmured, It is my word to be here. The debt must be paid. He abruptly retreated to Saphira. Murtaugh looked at him curiously. What does she say? Nothing. Wrapped in their own thoughts, the defenders sank into brooding silence as the hours crawled by. Farthendoor's crater again grew black, except for the sanguine lantern glow and the fires heating the pitch. Eragon alternated between myopically examining the links of his mail and spying on Arya. Auric repeatedly ran a whetstone over the blade of his axe, periodically eyeing the edge between strokes. The rasp of metal on stone was irritating. Murtaugh just stared into the distance. Occasionally, messengers ran through the encampment, causing the warriors to surge to their feet, but it was always proved to be a false alarm. The men and dwarves became strained, and angry voices often heard. The worst part about Farthendoor was the lack of wind. The air was dead, motionless. Even when it grew warm and stifling and filled with smoke, there was no reprieve. As the night dragged on, the battlefield stilled, silent as death. Muscles stiffened from the waiting. Eragon stared blankly into the darkness, with heavy eyelids. He shook himself to alertness and tried to focus through his stupor. Finally, Auric said, It's late. We should get sleep. If anything happens, the others will wake us. Murtaugh grumbled, but Eragon was too tired to complain. He curled up against Saphira, using his shield as a pillow. As his eyes closed, he saw Arya was still awake and watching over them. His dreams were confused and disturbing, full of horned beasts and unseen menaces. Over and over he heard deep voices ask, Are you ready? But he never had an answer. Plagued by such visions, his sleep was shallow and uneasy, until something touched his arm, and he woke with a start. And so ends The Lengthening Shadow. And we have but, I think, 2 chapters left. So we're at page 479, and the book ends at 497. We have 1 more night and 2 more chapters of Eragon to go. Oh. So Twitch is using streamers to train. Well, all of the platforms do that, Matty. If you upload anything anywhere, they're using it to train AI. And I've said this before because it is a tender subject for a lot of folk. T-Dub says, "No, keep reading." Threaten the Chancellor. Well, I mean, you have to be wary. She gets +5 to attack when wielding a Chancellor. We absolutely powered. We barreled through. We did this in 17 episodes, which is crazy. This is, so what, that's 4 months. I think that's the fastest we've ever powered through one of these books. Especially one so big. But yeah, Matty, every one of these platforms, when you sign their terms of service, you allow them usage rights to what you're putting on their platform. So it's why I have a hard time with the whole generative AI thing. Because while, yes, these generative AI platforms are using other people's art to generate art, it's not technically stealing, because all of these artists are uploading their art to these platforms. that, based on their terms of service, have the right to then use and sell that information, and that's what happened. So while on the one side I'm like, I really wish they weren't doing this, on the other side it's perfectly legal. If scummy, it's perfectly legal, because they, when you signed their terms of service, you said that they're allowed to have your stuff. So it's a bummer, but we all sort of sold our souls to these platforms in a way. When we started putting out the things that we make through social media, we have the boon that I can reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of you with my stories. But on the bad side, now all of these platforms also have my image, my stories, and my voice that they can use however they like. So while I wish that these platforms weren't doing it, the reality is that we did it to ourselves. We all sold our souls to this great devil. Morally, it's terrible, but unfortunately, legally, it's just. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like we were all short-sighted in the way that we've done this social media thing. We all wanted the attention and the money that came along with it. And because of that, now a lot of us don't own the things that we make. And that's tragic. It is. But that's kind of what we all did, you know? My first suggestion is the Chandler shop. And then Tyson says, I requested Misty Mountains last Friday at Magic Night. It was the pre-release for the Hobbit set. Oh, I can't believe they're still putting out Tolkien's work in Magic sets. I really wish they'd stop. I sold my heart to amazing Latina who loves your name. Like my name, like my actual name, or the name of the tavern. I enjoy social media for the social aspect of it. Yeah, I do too. I like that we can all get together like this. I'm gonna say goodnight. Thank you for the short visit tonight. Cheers, my friends. Ashley, good night and rest well. Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you. I think we're gonna do a couple of songs and then I'm gonna send you all off. I have things still have to get done this fine evening. See my comment earlier about the cars I have. Oh yeah, the lady was telling me that you went and sold some of your cars at a local shop, Bear. Thank you for the short visit. Okay, I got hold of that. But yeah, Dobbs, it's unfortunate that this is what these companies have decided to do, but the reality is that we've given them the license to do it. So we can't look back and be like, "Oh man, it's so mean that you did this." When we basically said, "Yeah, give me all of the likes and the attention, and you can have all my stuff." It's sad. Mary Beth, thanks for reading, Castle. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mary Beth. Rest well. It's nice being able to speak together and commune. I agree. I like that aspect of it. And it would be nice if there was a way that I could reach you all on through these portals without having to worry about it. And maybe someday the lady and I will build our own portal, as well as build the physical doors of the tavern again, so you can all have your name. Your name. I told her your name was Castle, and she said, like the building. I love it. Yeah. It's funny when I go through drive-thrus or when I'm talking to somebody on the little magic box. They when I'm telling them what my name is, I have to say Castle, like the building, so they understand. They did a very good job with The Hobbit. How much of the lore and physical appearances of the characters did they change, though? Because that's what bothers me about it. Is like those card sets should have been a layup. They shouldn't have had any reason to change anything. The characters should have looked like the characters, and all of their flavor text should have been fine. They just changed so much in the Lord of the Rings set. The Lord of the Rings set got me off of Magic. I stopped playing Magic again because of the Lord of the Rings set. When they put the Lord of the Rings set out, I stopped playing. Because I've loved Magic for years. I've been playing Magic since the 90s. And I've always loved it. And then when they disrespected Tolkien by changing his work, I said, well, I'm just not going to play Magic anymore. I mean, my mom still calls you Fortress. I've given up with her. All right. So Bear has requested the Chandler Shop. Jody had requested Old Timer, and Tyson requests Misty Mountains. I think we can do all of them. The artwork is wonderful, and the abilities are close to the characters in the story. I fell into a snooze on the couch. Great read at last. Well, I'm glad that you were able to join us, Rich. We're going to do a couple of songs, and then I'm going to send you all off out into the world. And the music is being bollocks right now, but that's fine. It's all done. At least she doesn't call him Moten Bailey. All right, let's do Chandler's Shop first. I get very irritated with people who pay for the license to Tolkien's work and then change it. Because they're essentially saying, oh, I know better than Tolkien about his own work, and I'm going to make it better. I'm going to improve upon one of the greatest works of fiction ever made, and I'm going to steal from a dead man. And it upsets me deeply. I never played Magic, but I want to get into it, but I don't know where to start. I just recommend, because I don't like supporting Wizards as a company anymore. I used to be a huge advocate for Wizards. I used to love their company, but they've done a lot of really scummy things in the last 10 years that have made me not want to support them. And then they did a lot of changing of Tolkien's characters in their Lord of the Rings set. And it just made me not want to play anymore. And I don't tell people not to play. I just personally, I don't support the company anymore because of what they did. If you love Magic and you want to play, you 100% should. But it's just like Rings of Power. Like, a lot of people argue about Rings of Power. My biggest problem with Rings of Power is that rather than just saying they were making something inspired by, they keep trying to argue that what they're doing is right and justified because they own the usage license. And that's entirely disrespectful to the person who wrote it. It's disrespectful to the professor, it's disrespectful to his son, it's disrespectful to the original work. Basically saying, like, this needs fixing and we're going to make it better. And I would feel that way about anything. Now, there are some living authors who will go and let people do that to their stuff. Martin has let them change a bunch of his characters. I think that shows a lack of integrity on Martin's part around his characters. But if he wants to do that to his own work, that's fine. Tolkien is dead. And Simon Tolkien does not represent the wishes of his father or his grandfather in the way that he sells all of those things. So, I cannot sit and watch the lives. I've got to bugger all of... I think there were stipulations placed for this set. I should hope so. Because the changes they made in the first set were entirely unnecessary. And a lot of them felt very pandery. That was part of the problem. A lot of them felt very pandering, which is what bothers me. I'm like, you can do these things as much as you want on your own time with your own things. Peter Jackson did, and that's why a lot of people were angry about it. Like, a lot of people did not like the changes that Peter Jackson made. I don't. I will still argue with people today, like, a lot of people say, well, oh, the films are perfect. The films aren't perfect. The films changed a lot of things. Like, the films changed a lot of things they did not need to change. Now, don't get me wrong, the films are still the best adaptation we've ever gotten, but they're by and large not perfect, and they're not faithful to the source material. And some of it was changed just for sake of drama. Like, there were some things that were changed, and a lot of people go, well, didn't they need to do that for budget or because of these? No. There were some things that were clearly changed, that were shot and done in a way that if they had done it right, from all outward appearances, it wouldn't have cost them any more. No Glorfindel. I think that the biggest sin was the Glorfindel thing. Because Bombadil, I understand to a degree. Now, removing Tom Bombadil also took away the Barrow Wights, and taking away the Barrow Wights also removed, like, why the Witch King got killed. So there was a whole huge gap in the thing there. That then a lot of people misunderstand what happened on the fields of Pelennor with all of that. Yeah, we're talking about Magic the Gathering. Well, we're talking about Lord of the Rings, but also Magic the Gathering. Because I love Magic the Gathering, but I don't play anymore. I used to promote Arena, their online game. During streams, I used to promote them, and I used to promote them. Never sponsored. I always just told people that Magic has one of the greatest stories, one of the best games. But I don't do it anymore, and I don't play anymore because one, the company has done a lot of scummy things and done a lot of like pandery, bending the knee sort of things, and two, the what they did with the Lord of the Rings set was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. There's nothing that bothers me more than someone takes a source material and then alters it in any way. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter what the altering is. Taking a source material and altering it in any way is you saying, I know better than the person who wrote it, and I'm going to do this to leave my mark on it. And I think that's lazy. I think that's egotistical, and I think that it more often than not leads to bad writing and bad design. I have rarely ever seen a thing where they do that and it makes it better. They never actually. I hate when companies have amazing products and run it into the ground because they're bad people. Look what happened with Halo. Halo was one of the most beloved game franchises in the world, and they ran it into the ground with the television show. One, they made the television show, and then Master Chief takes off his helmet in the show. Stupid, terrible decision making, and it was done purely out of ego to be like, well, look, we revealed Halo, we revealed the Master Chief. Nobody wanted that. Nobody needed that. And then in the most recent set, they changed a bunch of the characters for weird reasons. But they do this with everything. Like, you'll get people who are sort of mediocre in their talent, who will get their hands on an IP that is famous, and they'll go, well, I'm going to leave my mark on it. And then what they make is terrible, because their goal was not to tell a good story. Their goal was to leave their mark on the story. Their goal was to make themselves more famous by having made a thing with the story. It just is what it is. Santana, my friend, hello, it's good to see you. Sorry I've been absent from streams, and it's all perfectly all right, mate. You know that this is a place for you to come and escape when you need it. No scouring of the Shire. Okay, I'll calm down. Don't get me going on the Hobbit. No, and I actually agree on the scouring of the Shire. A lot of people say, well, no, the end of the Lord of the Rings was when the ring was destroyed, so that's where it should logically end. I'm like, no, you're missing the entire point of the story. The entire point of the story was not the Lord of the Rings. The entire point of the story was the hobbits and the little people doing spectacular things. The fact that they use Master Chief, which is the highest enlisted Navy rank, also makes me laugh. Yeah, well, because they're Space Marines. Yeah. It is. I've always found that funny, too. Well, and I guess the notion is that the USM, the MC or whatever it is, the Marine Corps in the future is a combination of like a Space Navy and Space Marines is the implication. And it was meant to sort of reflect that the sense that the Marines and the Navy do a lot of joint operations in the real world, I think is what they were going for. It doesn't really end up working out that way if you put it up to scrutiny, but I think that that's what was going through the designers' heads when they made it. Yeah, okay. Alright, so we're going to do some songs, my friend. The helmet BS pissed me off to the highest degree. Yeah, it was dumb. It was terrible. It never should have been done. It's like they did that Resident Evil show. Like, and none of the Resident Evil movies have been particularly good. So I'm not going to stand on some hill and die that, it's this beloved franchise. But they made a show of Resident Evil, and not only did they race swap Wesker, they gave him children, which Wesker does not have children in the games as far as I'm aware, And then they made him a sympathetic character. They made the villain of Resident Evil like a sympathetic character, and then made one of his daughters sort of evil and one of his daughters sort of a hero, and then made him this sympathetic character who was just trying to help people. It was so weird. I'm like, why do you do this? My God, Castle, your rant about changing source materials is almost the exact issue I had with a fellow writer who fancied herself an editor. She wanted me to dumb down my writing. You have to read my work. You've read my work, so you know what she was trying to mess with. Yeah, and an editor's job is not to get you to change your work. An editor's job is to help you make your work more coherent. So if something isn't going to be coherent to the common reader, it's not about dumbing it down or trying to get the person to dumb it down. It's about making sure that it is more explicit in the way that it is explained so that the story makes sense. Because a lot of times you have to write to the greatest common denominator, you know? But that doesn't mean you should dumb down your work to the point that it loses all identity. Carol, don't say that to Killshot Kitty. She loves that series. Oh, Castle, don't say that. I know. But Killshot, I love Killshot to death. But Killshot is an I love everything kind of gal. So if she likes the, if they came out with Resident Evil dog food, she would give Resident Evil dog food a glowing degree because she loves Resident Evil. I'm on the other side of that spectrum. So she's like, if I like the thing, I'm gonna like everything that comes out that has the name on it. She very rarely has anything bad to say, and it's a part of her charm. She's chronically positive. She like something really has to mess up for her to not like it. If she likes a thing, she likes it forever. Her puppies would be the spokes puppies for it. Right. She is not particularly critical of any of the stuff that she loves because she just likes to enjoy things, which is fair. My job is to hold things to standard. That's what I've done throughout my entire career. So when something is bad, especially if it's a thing that I like, I'm going to be very upset about it. That's why I was so critical of Rings of Power. A lot of people didn't like Rings of Power. I was critical of Rings of Power because of how badly it left source material. Same thing with the Halo series. I watched one episode of the Halo series before I was infuriated and I left. That was it. There are a lot of people who like these things, and I'm never telling you guys not to like a thing that you like when I say something is bad. I'm purely talking about my professional perspective, my personal preference, and what I believe to be the objective quality of the thing. If something is bad and you enjoy it, that's not a judgment call on you. You're allowed to enjoy bad things. Just like you don't have to enjoy good things. I say this all the time. But I will never go, if I love a thing, I am going to be harder on it because I want it to be good. It's just like my own stuff. If I put out a book and it's terrible, I expect you all to tell me that the book I put out was terrible so I don't put out terrible books. If I put out a story time and the story time is terrible, I expect you all to tell me so that I don't put out bad story times. They made Halo, then Space Force. Halo is coming to real life. Ads in 5. Oh, shoot. I guess we can just snooze those. Let's get as far through the songs as we can, and let's see if we can make it out of the other end. Anyways, we can ramble about this another time. I think I've ranted about this to a huge degree. I enjoy the Eragon movie mostly for the nostalgia, and the visuals are beautiful in my opinion. And there are some people who never read the books who really did like the Eragon movie. The Eragon movie is a huge point of contempt for me. I don't even know who made it, but they did such a terrible job with the adaptation from the book to the film that I've only watched it once, and I've tried to watch it again. As soon as it gets 15 minutes in, I start to get angry, and I leave. I can't do it. But I know a lot of people who liked the movie. And that's my point, is that you don't have to dislike something just because I dislike it, and you don't have to dislike something just because it's bad. You can enjoy a good thing. I think Milu's having trouble with vinyl over there. Just a little bit of trouble. I'll always be honest with my feedback, and I appreciate that, Bobby. I appreciate that. All right. Let's get the Chandler shop underway. Songs, my friend. If you've never joined us for songs, we sing songs at the end, and you join in if you know the words. Yeah. Not only what they cut, but like what they changed. Because that's the big thing. Like, if these movies and films and shows were just cutting things out, I would not be as upset about it because of the need of brevity in visual mediums. But it's that they change a bunch of things that upsets me. It's that they change a bunch of things that makes me it's not even angry, just wildly disappointed at the lack of integrity and artistic integrity, but also you have to be incredibly creative to be able to faithfully adapt a thing. Anybody can take Tolkien's work and then just name a bunch of characters, Tolkien characters, call the setting Middle Earth, and then write whatever story they damn well please in it. Anyone can do that. There's no skill required to do that. However, it takes a ridiculous amount of skill to faithfully adapt someone else's work into a different medium. There are very few who can do it and very few who have done it. And it's a skill set that is leagues and bounds above just writing a thing. I can't wait for the Disney version of House of Leaves. Zeal and Ardor, hello and welcome in. I don't know what House of Leaves is. Anyways, songs, let's do it. Here we go. I wish TikTok would let me type out my full thought. TikTok is very strict about what they will let you say in the chat. They're a bit bastardy in that way. Alright, here we go. As I went into the chandler shop, some candles for to buy. I went into the chandler shop, and nothing did I spy. Now I was disappointed, some angry words I said, where I heard the sound of a right above me head. Oh, I heard the sound of a right above me head. Now I was quick and I was slick, so up the stairs I fled, and very surprised was I to find the chandler's wife in bed, and with her was another man of quite considerable size, and they were of an right before me eyes. Oh, they were of an right before me eyes. Now when the fun was over and done, the lady raised her head, and very surprised was she to find me standing by the bed. If you would be discreet, me boy, if you would be so kind, why don't you come up for some whenever you feel inclined? Oh, why don't you come up for some whenever you feel inclined? So many's a night and many's a day when the chandler wasn't home, to get myself some candles to the chandler shop I'd roam. But never a one she'd give to me instead, just a little bit more of that, to light me way to bed. Oh, a little bit more of that, to light me way to bed. So come all you married men, take heed if ever you go into town. If you leave your wife alone, be sure to lie her down. And if you'll be so kind to her, just lay her down on the floor. Give her so much of that, she doesn't want any more. Oh, give her so much of that, she doesn't want any more. Ha! Thank you, Bear, I appreciate you. Bungie gave Halo a vague lore, and 343 just changed it. Yeah. Sin City was a good one. Wonder who was close enough to the source material to do so well. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you look at The Witcher Season 1, when Henry Cavill was really pushing his finger on the scale, that was so much closer to a faithful adaptation than we've ever gotten. Now, don't be wrong, it still wasn't good, because they changed a lot. But it was one of the better adaptations from book to film we've ever gotten. But it still had its problems. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie was a hot mess. That's true. As much as I think the film is charming, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy film is one of those ones that falls into it's charming enough that I enjoy it, but when I have to give it a comparison to the source material, it just didn't do a good job. I enjoyed the Eragon movie when I first watched it, but then I hadn't read the book first. Well, and again, like there are a lot of folk who I know who are like that, who went to see it like either with their kids or who just sort of like, oh, it's a dragon movie and wanted to go see a dragon movie. And they liked it because, they did a pretty good job with a lot of the visuals. Some of the visuals, not great, but they did a pretty good job with a lot of the visuals. And the acting was sort of cheesy, but again, Jeremy Irons is such a good actor. He can carry just about any performance. Of course I do, Bear. I've not read or watched The Witcher. Is it worth the purchase? The books are very good. They're dense. They're kind of hard to read because of the way that the author writes. The books are very good. The games are good too. The first two games are hard to play. The third one is the best. And season 1 of The Witcher is worth watching. Everything after that is not. I actually strongly recommend doing The Witcher on audiobook because the audiobook for The Witcher is actually very good. The one on Audible. Okay, let's do Misty Mountain for Tyson. Again, we're going to do the short one by Peter Holland. It was the author of the comics directing the movie in Sin City, so it's basically... Well, even then, sometimes the authors aren't... Like, occasionally there are authors who try to direct their own movies, but they have no idea how to translate into the visual medium, so it ends up being a mess, too. We saw that with U-Ball and the Blood Rain movie, because the creator of the game was directly involved in that, and that ended up being a mess. Yeah, go ahead and keep snoozing, Bear, I appreciate you. The original author, Douglas Adams, died while they were writing the movie script, and the only part that was actually had his signature humor was the opening credits after the movie falls apart. The BBC miniseries is so much better. Wait, what were we talking? What was this? What was this in reference to? Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Right. Has anyone listened to Dungeon Crawler Coral yet? I keep getting recommended it. I have not. There are some people whose opinions I greatly disrespect who have told me to listen to it, so that put me off it for a while. It's probably fine. There are a lot of people who love it, but there are some people whose opinions I have zero respect for, who have told me that it's excellent, so it put me off it for a while. All right, Misty Mountains, my friends, let's go. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to find our long forgotten gold. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, it flaming spread, and trees like torches blaze with light. The wind was on the withered hill, but in the forest stirred no leaf. Their shadows lay, be night or day, and dark things silent crept beneath. The wind went on from west to east. All movement in the forest ceased, but shrill and harsh across the marsh, its whistling voices were released. Farewell we call to hearth and hall. The winds may blow and rain may fall, we must away ere break of day. For o'er the wood and mountain tall, far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to find a long forgotten goal. In my mind, an entire legion of us are singing this. Yeah. So Santana, you said you get this achievement when somebody you know recommends Dungeon Crawl Call. Reward you now know about Dungeon Crawl Call, and what more do you want? The series where an alien corporation claims Earth and survivors have to compete in 18-floor dungeon in order to earn their freedom or die. Interesting. I had no idea that was the premise. Don't get me started about Will Wheaton. I met him, and he royally pissed me off. Will Wheaton is incredibly full of himself. I met him at Comic-Con one year, and the man is... I'm surprised he can keep his head up with that ego. I think my neck would probably break. Main character Carl is 27-year-old former Coast Guardsman who just recently broke up with his girlfriend and has her prize-winning cat, and enters the dungeon with the cat, a leather jacket, boxers, pink Crocs, and a t-shirt. That is the most millennial-sounding bag of tripe I think I've ever heard. That's the last news. All right, thank you, Bear. Let's see if we can get through Old Timer real quick. That is the most millennial, like, meme Fortnite build thing I think I've ever heard, Santana. Oh. By the new Christie Minstrels. Let's go ahead. Oh man, I'll tell you what. I will give it a couple of chapters just for you, Santana. I'll give it a couple of chapters just for you. Or you can try voting it in on the next adult book that we do. See if it makes its way to the top. I'm an old. Hang on. I gotta get the tune. I forgot the tune. Give me just a second. Hopefully, I can get in before the. Nope, not that. Old timer. A new. Christie. How to go? No, that's an ad. "'Tis in late December, and I will remember the springtime of you when the world was so green." And then it speeds up. 100,000 years ago. Okay. I remember. I am an old timer, I'm an excellent rhymer. I'll sing you a song of the sights I have seen. 'Tis late in December, but well I remember the springtime of youth when the world was so green. Oh, I was born 100,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. There's no place that I ain't been round the world and back again, and I'll whoop any man who says it isn't so. In the dawn of civilization, I recall, my cave had bearskin carpets wall to wall. We were quite the social group. I was friends with Alley-Oop and that charming fellow named Neanderthal. Yes, I knew Adam and Eve before they knew the score. It was I who designed the fig leaves that they wore. I was behind the bushes kneeling, saw the apple they was peeling, and I swear I was the chap who ate the core. I was born 100,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. There's no place that I ain't been, round the world and back again, and I'll whoop the man who says it isn't so. I took a trip with Cleopatra down the Nile. Yes, we dated off and on for a while. And for King Tut's little kiddies, I built all the pyramids and represented Caesar at his trial. Mr. Nero was a personal friend of mine. The way he played the fiddle was so divine. I went by invitation to a Roman celebration and ended up with ashes in my wine. I was born 100,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. There's no place that I ain't been around the world and back again, and I'll whoop the man who says it isn't so. I'll tell you how America came to be. I went sailing with Columbus across the sea. He got sick the day we landed, and he went home empty-handed. By the rights, the whole darn place belongs to me. I know much more than any book can tell, and you must admit I sing it rather well. But the last part is the best, and you'd like to hear the rest. You can sing it for yourself. And then the rest, I don't know how to sing the rest of this. I need to listen to it. But the rest is them promoting the album. So there's that. I've never done an audiobook. So that's where I'll end. That's where I'll end that song. Now, see, did I make it before the ad started? I did. I did make it before the ad started. Spectacular. Well done, my friends. High fives. High fives all around. Oh, good timing. I did my best. I was rushing through those. The convention had a long list of rules restricting interactions with him. I was dressed as a betased member of Starfleet, and I was at the consignment table, and a bunch of girls were following him like lovesick groupies. He kept coming next to me, so I crossed in pattern that would have been difficult to duplicate. I asked him to stop following me. He said that I was following him ahead of him. Interesting. Uh, yeah. One of the things I don't miss about working in the direct media industry is there are a lot of egos. And don't get me wrong, I've got an ego of my own. It's not like I'm some humble little bastard who just is completely contrite in all the things that I do. I'm a confident man, and I tend to be arrogant in some ways. Uh, but some of the folks that I've met, like Jessica Negri and her lad, are so full of themselves. I'm surprised their organs fit inside of them. That was a fun song. Needs to be added to the semi-regular rotations. Thank you, Jody, for the suggestion. I agree, Bear. I think it's well worth adding in. Um, Probably to this day, the best person that I've ever met who was famous was Stan Lee. Stan Lee was one of the kindest, most genuine men I ever met, and I was sad to see what happened to him, what was happening to him after he passed away, and all of it came out about his business partner was abusing him and all of that. Ugh, that was tragic to hear. But yeah, it's a hell of a thing. All right, my friends, I think that this is where I will send you all off for the night. I don't know that anybody that we know is on. Let me see. Oh, Killshot is still on. I guess I can drop you guys with Kill. She's kind of she's not exactly relaxing, but I'll drop you guys off over with Killshot. Since she's still on. That's for the Twitch folk. But for now, for everyone else, this is where we must part this evening, my friends. So for everyone who is off for the night, good night, and thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow with the Dragon and the George continued. So do make sure to join us. It is just getting started, and boy, there is so much. She's chaos, it's fun, but she's also nice. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She and I have been friends for so long. I've known her since she was like 16, 17 years old. It's been a long time. Good night, Frost, and to everybody else who has to go to bed. Good night, my friends. It was wonderful to see you. I'm so very glad that you could join us. Thank you for being here for Storytime. To everyone who tipped the tavern keeper, thank you kindly for your generosity. To everyone who brought your attention, thank you for being here. And to all the new folks who have joined us tonight, we're glad to have you. You've marked us on your map. We hope you'll find a way back to us again the next time you seek a story. So, while it is sad that we are parting, we will once again gather. But until then, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty, my friends, and I will see you next time. Until then, Slán go fóill.
Across the foam where the grey sea dies, I see the gold in your mortal eyes. Leave the iron sheen, leave the rust, leave the men who turn to dust.
I see the light, I see the shore, but my heart is tied to the threshing floor. How can I ride where the shadows go when the wind of home is all I know?
Tiernanog is calling.
Beyond the mist where the sea is new,
Leave the world of the grey and the falling.
Asheen,
Haroon, I am calling you. 10,000 winters in a single breath. The land of youth, the end of death. Time is a cage,
took the saddle, I left the clay, but the ghost of home wouldn't fade away. 300 years passed like a sigh, while I watched the golden birds fly by.
Asheen, my love, stay on the horse.
I must see the hills, I must find my sword.